form. This is a little bit more Peter in the Wild type videos. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to take this Kia Sorento PHEV and we're going to take it out into the snow behind me because it is currently snowing and we had lots of snow overnight. And this video is filmed live. So we're going to show you in real time how this vehicle reacts. And with the PHEV in particular, the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle in particular, there are some differences in the snow that just take some getting used to, take some things to just sort of educate on. So that's what we're going to do. So this video is probably going to be about half an hour long. I'm not sure you guys, if you're not watching live with us, will know how long it is. So take a break, take a Kit Kat, have a snack, have a drink, take a break here, and stay with me because obviously we're not editing anything here. We're just going to drop in and I'm going to try to give you an informational discussion about how things work, why things work. It's going to be a little bit tougher for me to take comments during the video, so I'll do my best to get them during the video as I can, but I will also come back to the video bay here after we're done driving around in parking lots that are plowed and unplowed, and we'll come in and talk about your questions. So here we go. Well, actually, we're going to wait till that 3-minute mark. So those of you that are not watching live with us, skip ahead to that 3-minute mark. I'm just going to let our live audience jump in because we do this every single weekday at 2 o'clock. And if you want to join us live, let me show you how to do that right here. If you want to join us live, you go to our YouTube page at exactly 2 o'clock. And it's 2 o'clock Eastern time right now in Monday, January 17th. When we refresh the page at exactly 2 o'clock, you can see that that live video takes over. We're going to hit that live video right there. And I'm going to watch a quick little ad. And somebody says, where's my Kia jacket? I'm not even in my Kia uniform today. We've been clearing snow. I got to be really honest with you. Working at a dealership during snowstorms, not the most fun day. You get to clear snow all day, and then you get to go home and clear your own driveway out. Some of the area is going to have as much as 60 centimeters of snow. So I don't know what that is in inches, but let's say, well, I don't know, 50 centimeters is half a meter. So it's like, I don't know, 60 centimeters is like a couple feet of snow. So we'll do that. Are you still trying to get a Tucson PHEV? I am. I have a customer that reached out to me and said they might be able to get it. My dealership is also reaching out to a local customer to be able to get that as well. So we'll do that. Yeah, 24 inches. There we go. 24 inches of snow is 60 centimeters. Here we don't have that. Here we've probably got about 8 to 10 inches in some areas. It's drifting and blowing. There'll be plowed and unplowed areas. This vehicle, I don't know the ground clearance on it, but has less than that, so we'll talk about that. Again, we're just killing a little bit of time to that 3-minute mark so we can get going when our live audience is joined. Do me a favor, if you're watching right now, hit the like button for me. Let's see if we can get a bunch of likes here early so that I don't have to beg for them later, and that'd be kind of awesome. So again, what we're going to do, let me just try to show you outside. It is currently snowing outside, and I don't know if you can see the snowflakes. We'll see them a little better, but there we go. So it is snowing. You can't see it on camera at all, but it is. And we're going to just take you through this vehicle, and we're going to do that in 5 seconds. So here we go. All right. Okay, 3-minute mark. We're going to jump into the Kia Sorento PHEV. This is an all-wheel drive model, and let me flip the camera around. We are indoors right now. So one thing you don't want to do with a PHEV is you don't want to start it indoors. I am going to get buckled up here because I am driving around in closed course type environment. We're not going to go onto public roads or anything else like that. So again, what I'm going to do is open the garage door. The reason you want to start it indoors is because this vehicle can start the gasoline engine indoors, and we want to make sure that we don't do that. So the garage door is opening right now. We're going to shut it. I'm going to power on the vehicle. Let's look at that right now. Simple press to start it up. Now it's in full EV mode. As you can see, that little EV label right there, that'll give you a hint when we're in full EV mode. We're going to hit drive. The engine will start in this car because the heat is on and the engine is cold. So let me just shut the garage door behind me for a second here. Make sure it's shutting. Okay, it is. All right, so I want to tell you what we're doing and what we want you to look at to start out. I don't know if you guys can see the snow here falling. I feel like you can't see any snowflakes. I don't know, can we see snowflakes there? There we go. Now you can see snowflakes. So it is currently snowing. This area has been plowed, but we had a lot of snow. We're going to go to unplowed area as well. My engine just started. So let's talk about quickly the engine and starting and not starting, just so we're aware of what's going on, because this is a little different in a PHEV than in a regular one. We've got a full tank of battery and a full tank of fuel here, ish, give or take. So about 50 kilometers of pure electric range, 424 of electric. And again, ignore the gasoline fuel efficiency. This car has been idling a lot with us for different demonstrations. So dealership fuel efficiency is never something you should use as a reliable kind of guesstimate. But we're going to go across here and we're going to show you what I want to kind of get into here. So right now, see the engine temperature right there? Engine temperature is very cold. This is an important gauge, and in fact, it's only on the digital gauge cluster of the PHEV because if this vehicle requires heat, it's going to pull it off the engine essentially. So right now, because the engine is not warm, most of the time the engine's going to run. That does not mean that we won't still use electric power, and even only electric power. But what we're going to do is we're going to allow that engine to warm up as we're filming, because that's a key piece to driving this in the winter. Sometimes it's going to be in the rain, or sometimes it's going to be sorry, just get my wipers on. Sometimes you're going to be driving with gasoline and electric, sometimes purely electric. All these things are going to weigh into factors. The other gauge that we're going to look at is this one here. This is my bar graph, which I'll just give it the gas for a second here. I'm going to say give it the gas, even though I've been told I should say the accelerator. But that is how our bar graph kind of fills in with, you know, as it shows exactly which wheel is getting which power. Now we're in the standard eco drive mode right now. The PHEV, let's just scroll down here, is Eco, Sport, and Smart. There is a no comfort mode, and then you can also go to the terrain modes here in Canada, which is the snow mode, the mud, and the sand. Now we'll get into those in a second. We're going to leave it in the eco mode for now, just to sort of show you the basics. I wish I could show you the snow better. The camera doesn't focus great. Over here, this sort of unplowed-ish looking area, that sort of rougher area, some of that's about 6 inches or so. So we're going to rub the bottom of this car at some point today, because this has been plowed already, and we're going to go to parking lots that haven't been plowed. So what we're going to do, the overall plan for this video, is just to drive. Not eco mode, Peter, that's boring. Yeah, well, eco mode's important. So what we're going to do is just drive around, and I'm going to talk to you about what I'm experiencing, what I'm seeing. We're going to keep the climate system low and quiet if we can. And we're going to try to explain, and like I said, I'll try to take your questions as we move in the end. So what we're going to do in eco mode right now is just show you a few things on that bar graph here as we're accelerating. Now, a very important thing, this vehicle does not have winter tires. In this weather, on any vehicle, I don't care if it's all-wheel drive, hybrid, non-hybrid, I recommend having winter tires, and I have those on my Santa Cruz. They were great. I got in this morning when lots of cars were getting stuck. Santa Cruz has a very similar all-wheel drive system as this. But again, it's going to be different in a PHEV, and I'll show you those differences as best I can. It's live. We'll do what we can. All right, so here we go. All right, eco mode, we're just going to accelerate, and we're going to brake, and we're going to try not to hit those cars buried in the snowbanks right there. So I just want to show you in eco mode. Remember when I said you're always starting with all-wheel drive? This is not a system that waits to slip. So a lot of systems, you wait for the front wheels to slip, and then the rear wheels will kick in. You'll notice when I release the brake here in a second that all of these will light up, and that's because all wheels are getting traction, and then as it maintains traction, it'll move the power back to the front wheels. So eco mode, even in eco mode, not snow mode, all 4 wheels are getting power, and they're staying in power. Now, what we're going to do here is take it a little, ooh, this is going to be a little tricky here. It is slippery here, and it is very deep in front of this, whoops, in front of this car here. I don't know if you can see it in front of that car, but there is a plowed area there that is not ideal. So what we're going to do now is we're taking a sharp left here. So sharp left with the steering wheel, and I'm going to try to still show you this bar graph because it's going to default to more front wheel drive than it would have. See how it's more front wheel drive? If I come around here, just going to make sure I'm not crashing while I'm watching my camera. If I keep the steering wheel fairly tight, more front wheel drive than rear. Let me just get the camera around because it's a G-force reacting camera here. Turn it left here and watch that bar graph. A little sometimes more front wheel drive than rear. And the reason for that, even if you can't see it on the bar graph there, the reason that when you turn, it's going to give you more front wheel drive than rear is because it wants to stay predictable for most people who are coming from a front wheel drive car. Rear wheel drive car will swing the rear end around if it goes more power to the rear. Front wheel drive car will sort of plow forward, which for most people feels safer to plow forward. So it will resist swinging that back around, end around, even in the eco mode. Okay, so let's spin back around one more time. I'm getting a little stuck spinning here. The other thing I want to talk about is spinning. Let's just do that, and then we'll switch gears here again. Okay, oh, not switch gears, don't want to look at me. All right, so what we're gonna do is the gauges here. The one thing that's different with a PHEV, again, this eco mode is kind of like your tachometer. But what it does here is in this green section here, you could run on full electric in some areas. And then once you go in here, you're running a mix of gas and electric. When you drive this car in full power, it's going to mix gas and electric. And again, we're going to see that engine temperature warm up eventually here. And when that engine temperature warms up a little bit more, you're going to see the ability to run on pure electric. So we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. But this eco mode here is generally where we are. Sometimes when this vehicle revs, and I say quotation revs, it's going to be using a lot of electric and not a lot of gas, which is a strange thing to feel in a hybrid, because normally when we spin our tires or give it a lot of gas, what you're going to find is that you hear the engine. There are times this could essentially spin the tires, or traction control can kick in and that kind of thing, even though
you are not hearing the engine. And that takes a little getting used to, whether it's an electric car or in a PHEV. So there we go. So that's just something to keep in mind. You can see this gauge really rev around sometimes as we give it. So I'm gonna give it a lot of throttle in eco mode, and it just controls it, traction control, but it's giving a lot of power. And now you hear it rev. So again, as it's giving a lot of power, you didn't hear the engine rev up until it kind of came into this section and it really got going. It's trying to use electric power only, even though it's using your heat to warm the engine, majority of your power. And this is where the fuel efficiency comes in. People get upset on a PHEV on our models because the gasoline engine runs when it needs cold. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean the gasoline engine is going to be running purely for power. So that's something to keep in mind here, is just because your gasoline engine is running doesn't mean it's always going to be revving when you give it the throttle and come in there. Now, I want to switch to snow mode here. So we're going to go drive modes, and we're going to go to, oops, not drive modes. We want to go to terrain modes. Hold on, I'm looking at the wrong thing. There we go, terrain modes and snow mode. So we are now in the snow mode. Snow mode, what it does. Let's talk really briefly about what we have. It's a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive car. There is a drive shaft going back and forth. It's not purely electric on the back end here. It is the same sort of thing as our gasoline models. The all-wheel drive system always starts in all-wheel drive, and it's a mechanical connection, which is what you want. It works really well with today's technology. There may be a time where EV and gas work well together, but I think you still want a drive shaft connecting them. So what happens in snow mode? A lot of things. First of all, the throttle is going to be really dulled down, or the accelerator is what people want me to call it now, I guess. The accelerator is going to be really dulled down. So a 1/3 throttle application on this vehicle is going to be a very gradual application of power. And what that means is that your wheels won't spin in the snow mode. It's also going to play with your gearing to make sure that you're not over revving the engine. But of course, this one isn't always engine, sometimes electric. So it works with stability control, traction control, and everything else. But it feels very dull and boring, and I'll show you that as we just accelerate forward here. So you can sort of see everything here in the gauges. As I give it gas, it's just very gradual. I would say it's a little bit more aggressive maybe than the gasoline engines, and that probably has to do, or the pure gasoline vehicles, and that probably has to do with the actual electric motors. Traction control on electric motors is fantastic. So if you have the electric motor here, generally speaking, traction control is very good. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna head up over this bump over here. There's a bumped up area. It's about 4 feet higher here. We're gonna try to go up there. It's not plowed very well, and we're gonna go across to an unplowed parking lot and start playing around with losing traction in this car, just to explain. So here we go. No snow tires coming up this bump there. No big deal. This area has been plowed. Now I am taking a risk here of getting stuck across the road here. I haven't been here all day, but to my knowledge, it is fully unplowed, and there is a slight little bit less ground clearance in this vehicle than in others. All right, so someone's coming in here. Because they're coming in, I'm just gonna come to a complete stop and be safe, let them come through to me, and we're gonna let them come through. So I'll just let on me because they're coming in, give them some space. They're very cautious, not as cautious as I'm going to be. All right, we're gonna cross over to this unplowed lot and try to get into and try not to get stuck. So coming into an unplowed lot. All right, now we're having fun. Okay, so this is interesting. This lot unplowed. Now let me just step out for a second here, and you're gonna see what I mean when I say unplowed. Let me just, yeah, we'll keep it here. All right, put the car in park for a second. Okay. When I say unplowed, I want you to see that the snow is, whoa, come on camera. Here's the door open right here. And there's, 3 inches, I don't know, there's whatever that is, that much space between the door and the actual snow. So we are in a fully unplowed lot. There's 6 or 8 inches of snow depending on school. I'm getting blown in the face here. Depending on the wind and all of everything in here. So what we're gonna do now is, in snow mode, I'm gonna do some S-turns. We've done this before in the Santa Cruz with snow tires. This one doesn't have it, but I'm gonna show you that this car won't get stuck. I could be lying because we're doing a live video. So S-turns here, accelerating from a stop in snow mode. Oops, I'm not in drive. Put it in drive. We're still in the snow mode here. And you can tell you're in snow mode by seeing that right there. So in snow mode, here we go. All right, coming to the left, car gets moving and goes to the left. Again, dull throttle here, not getting stuck at all. Coming to the right, plows a little bit, which means it slides forward, comes back around, no problem. Going to the left again, the camera's adapting. And I'm not sliding or getting stuck at all. Oh, the camera is just moving with the G-forces here. Come on, camera. So I'm making a spin, but your camera is not. Let's just slow it around here. All right, now what you can't see there is the car actually itself has essentially bottomed out in the 8 or so inches of snow here. You know, this undercarriage of this vehicle is rubbing the entire time. But those S-turns are no problem in the snow mode. Now what we'll do is we'll have some fun here, because the complete opposite of snow mode would be sand mode. Snow mode dulls the throttle, doesn't want it to rev. So we're gonna switch into sand mode here, because that's a bad thing to do in a snowstorm. And then we're gonna go over to the traction control button over here, and we're not just gonna press it, we're gonna hold it. So we're pressing it and holding it. It says traction control disabled, traction stability control disabled. All right, so now what we're gonna do is something that you should not do on the roads because it's not safe. Sand modes allows a ton of spin, and the traction stability control off means allowing the wheel to spin. But we're still gonna be able to get moving here. So let's just try this again in sand mode. All right, right away it's digging in. I can hear the engine running. I'm spinning. If you want to do big 4-wheel drifts, there we go. We're spinning around in a circle there. In a circle. Now what's cool is while we're spinning in that circle, sometimes the engine's revving, sometimes it's not. Oh, there we go. All right, so we're just coming to a complete stop. What we did was 4-wheel donuts and spinning the car around. Sand mode will get you loose. Now that we've done that, and we've kind of got stuck, or kind of put ourselves in the deepest part of the snowbank, we're just gonna put it in drive again and drive straight out of it. But the reason, what we're gonna do is put it back in snow mode. So let's just flip it around here. Gonna put the stability and traction control back on. You heard the engine running a little bit in there. So now we're in EV mode. Oh, can I put that back on? Maybe I have to hold it. There we go, it's back on. So now we're gonna put it into the snow mode again. And now you're gonna see that if we do the same types of things, we can't lose traffic. So there we go. Differing on private property made illegal by the Highway Traffic Control recently. I'm okay with that. They're not gonna charge me. They're fine with it. We're just showing you how your car works. Okay, so now I'm in snow mode. The exact opposite. The car is perfect. We're stopped. I don't hear the engine revving because the electric traction control is getting us moving, but it dulled the throttle and we got moving out of the deepest part of the snow. So there we go again, moving around. But this time I can't, oops, camera's not adapting with me. This time I can't spin it in snow mode. I'm doing the exact same thing, giving it lots of throttle, and the car will not let me, it'll turn, but it won't let me spin. So let me just come back and explain what I'm seeing, because I'm having trouble filming with my camera that has a G-force sort of adapter. In snow mode right now, what's happening is if the car slides forward, if the car has to spin, in sand mode, it would spin the rear end out. It would actually do a 4-wheel drift sideways and spin around like that. In snow mode, if there's any slippage at all, it's the front plowing forward, not the rear sliding out. It's very, very predictable, hard to get stuck, but also very difficult to spin the tires. When I'm spinning the tires, you're not seeing the, when I spin the tires in sand mode, you're not always hearing the engine running. In sand mode, it will rev the engine. In the snow mode, it doesn't always rev the engine. And you can see by this gauge here, when it goes to sort of a full power thing, I'm still in EV mode there. See that green EV mode? It's pulling me around, even with applying lots of power. Now, if you know this car, to apply this much power in this kind of area here, you should not need, or it should jump out of EV mode, but even in the snow mode, it's allowing the EV motors to keep full traction control here, instead of switching to the gasoline motor just to get you going. So again, very, very difficult to film live, but I think you can see what I'm doing here when we go with the regular. Is there a mode you guys want to see? I can put it in sport mode, I can put in something else. I'll try to get your questions here as we go before we go back inside. But the short answer is, use the snow mode. It's boring, more boring than eco, and it will dull the throttle and keep you in that power. And sometimes, even though the traction control is flickering on and off, which we'll show you again right here. Let's give it a lot of gas in the snow mode. Traction control is gonna flicker in a second. There you go, traction control, lots of power. There's no engine revving right now, despite the power gauge there. So even though we're sort of stuck in the snow, we are moving without any trouble. Lots of throttle, traction control light comes on, but EV stays on. Now let's just see where we're at for engine temperature here. Oops, let's go back up to here. So engine temperature's warming up a little bit. What we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the climate system off. So now that we have a little bit of heat in the motor and we have the climate system off, we're gonna limit our engine use. So let's just see what happens here when we go with our all-wheel drive system. Oops, come on, there we go. And we're gonna turn in eco mode here and do a full loop here. I hear the wheels spinning, but I don't hear the engine running. Oh, we are a little bit stuck. So I'm just letting the traction control figured out. Lots of power. We're stuck. Perfect. This is what I wanted to do. Oh, I let off the throttle back on, and we're stuck. I'm flooring it, and we're not moving anywhere. We've got lots of power going, but the traction control is cutting out. All right. It cut the EV mode out. So now we're stuck. What do we do when we're stuck? This is simple. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna throw it into the mud mode. Why? Because in Canada, oops, yeah, there we go. In Canada, the mud mode will allow you to lock your differential. So there's a mud mode over there and a sand mode. So now we haven't used the mud mode yet. Now that we're stuck, watch what goes on here. Throw it into the mud mode, and you're gonna see downhill brake control is on, and sometimes it'll say something about the all-wheel system. So now the mud mode will, if it needs to, if the wheel's going straight, there we go, the wheel, oh, and that's the other thing I should point out. When the wheel's straight, you can tell. So see our little diagram for our four-wheel drive graph? If I spin the wheel, check out those wheels, they turn. So you know if your wheels are straight or not, which is super helpful because right now, obviously my wheel is, whoops, my steering wheel is straight, but my wheels are not straight. So now we're gonna back and center it. All right, so now we're in the mud mode because we are stuck, right? So I'm gonna show you me instead. I don't know if there's any reference point around you, but I'm gonna put it in, yeah, there we go. Gonna put it in reverse for a second just to go backwards because I don't wanna hit that thing. Put it in reverse, no problem. I am climbing out because the mud mode is using some of our four-wheel lock technology to spin those wheels. Now let's just come forward now. Where we were stuck, we're no longer stuck. We're rolling around. And the mud mode is allowing all four wheels to have traction together. So sometimes if you're completely stuck in the snow, and let's just see if we can get it stuck again by going to our sport mode. And we're gonna go to our traction control off for a second and stability control off for a second. We're gonna floor it for a second. All right, we're nice and deep in the snow. There we go. Okay, so now we're gonna put the traction control back on. We're gonna put it back in the snow mode. All right, so we should be stuck now. If I give it the gas, give it the throttle here, give it a second there, give it throttle. Yep, I'm stuck. I'm giving it tons of power. I am moving absolutely nowhere, right? So now again, put it in the mud mode. And this is why the Canadian models are so good. Put it in the mud mode, same exact thing, gonna go forward again. And I am now moving out. Pretty cool, eh? So I hope that makes sense to everybody there. Sand mode allows you, and no stability traction control allows you to drift. Snow mode can still get stuck in deep snow, but you want to use snow mode on the roads. Prevent yourselves from spinning, prevent yourselves from giving yourselves a little extra ice on the roads by spinning. Mud mode is awesome for when you're stuck. So we're gonna spin back around. I'm gonna go back to the video bay. We're at 22 and a bit minutes here. We're still in mud mode. Mud mode can also drift. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm doing donuts here. Actually, let me just try to show you that. Let me see if I can hold this in place. Okay, so there is, I wonder if this has a G-force adapter thing. You know what? Give me a second, guys. Stay with me. This is gonna be weird for your camera, but stay with me. All right, stay with me. I just turned my holder off. Okay, we're in the mud mode here. In mud mode here, I'm holding it freehand on the dash. There's the, we're going forward here, spinning around in mud mode. Now it's spinning. We are totally spinning around, doing donuts here in the car. Because small donuts are possible in mud mode. So we'll talk about the modes in a second. Let me just put you back on my holder. It's gonna do some weird things here and we'll go back inside. All right, bear with me for a second, guys, as I get my little steady cam going. There we go. All right, you guys back? All right, so here's what we've got going on. Mud mode, we're gonna put it back in snow mode so we just stay forward. Mud mode can spin you in spot. Snow mode can spin you in big, or sand mode, excuse me, can spin you in big circles. Snow mode, great for the roads, get stuck sometimes in the deep, deep snow. And when that happens, you're gonna go to your mud mode to get your all four wheels spinning together and go from there. When you drive a PHEV like this one, the PHEV will sometimes rev the engine. In other words, it will spin the wheels without actually revving the engine. Now I say spin the wheels because there's a traction control involved, but sometimes you'll see it applying nearly full power, and that's what I mean down here, nearly full power without hearing the engine go. So there we go. How is this system compared to Quattro? Quattro is just a brand name. Symmetrical all-wheel drive is a brand name. I'm gonna turn my climate system on here as we cross the road. All right, so there's a lot of systems that have fancy brand names. Here's the thing. A lot of people in the States on their review videos, they like to take these vehicles off-road. These systems are not designed for off-road, even though it says mud and sand. They're designed for camping roads, cottage roads. When you hit the mud, when you hit the sand, you can use those modes. They'll be optimized for that, but they're not designed to be rock crawlers or anything else. Where they're very, very, very good is in inclement weather. We have no snow tires on this. Even after getting the vehicle stuck, I didn't get out. I didn't have to get any help. I just switched the drive mode, touch the throttle, and the car knows what to do and it goes back in. So we're gonna go back inside now. I'm gonna spin over here and we're gonna take, I'm in snow mode, so I'm not actually spinning. We're gonna pull back into the video bay. Maybe I can show you how much snow we've had here, if I can spin around here. Come on, camera. There we go. So there's our video ad. That doesn't show it. It's, you know, there's about a foot of snow up against that bay door. So we're gonna back into there and I'm gonna jump out, take your questions. Hopefully my computer's still there and nobody's parked a car in here. And I'll try to answer your questions as best I can about what we've done. Hopefully this has been useful. If we need to do it again sometime, we will. That's the way we do things around here. All right, so bear with me as I look at my mirrors, which are now covered in snow because I was doing donuts, which is not smart. Don't do donuts on your work vehicles. Somebody's gonna buy this vehicle one day and go, wait, what's wrong with this? All right, wait till the roof, wait till the door is above. Okay, it is. Bear with me as I back up for a second, guys. All right, coming into a very slippery tile floor with snowy tires. That can be slippery, which is why four-wheel drive is nice. All-wheel drives, technically. All right, we're in here, the light's off. I'm gonna turn the car off and we're gonna shut the door and I'm gonna go take your questions right now. All right. So hopefully that was useful, guys. Do me a favor, if you haven't left a like on the video, go ahead and leave a like. Maybe we'll go out and do some more donuts in a second, but let me just take your questions right now. And it's gonna be hard for me to go back through all the comments. So if you have a question related to today's video, go ahead and ask it again right now. If it's an off-topic question, we'll get to those in a little bit here. Think of upgrading my car with a good all drive system, seeing get stuck in the snow in Toronto. Yeah, I just find that this car will be hard to get stuck in the snow. And I wanted to show you while we get back in here. This is how deep our snow was here. All the wheels are full of snow because we were spinning around sideways. It's real snow here today. So yeah, that's what we were dealing with. And it's just hard to show on video. Can you fit chains needed in parts of Europe? I'm sure you can. They don't allow chains on the road here. They don't allow studded tires on this part of Ontario. So winter tires is what I recommend. But yeah, there's that. After this, tell Tim he's really cool. Yeah, they don't really care what I do here as long as I don't crash anything. So once I'm on video, I can do whatever I decide is best, as long as I don't hurt anybody or crash anything. And yeah, that's the way it works. Okay, let me just go through here. Is there a solution for American Kias that don't have the sand and mud mode? Yes, so you guys don't have the sand and mud mode, but you do have that four-wheel drive lock button. So sand mode is a little harder to replicate for you guys. The mud mode, for the effectiveness of what I did today, the reason I put it in mud mode is that's effectively did the four wheels locked together like you guys have with your four-wheel drive or four lock button. So when you get stuck in snow mode, because it's deep snow, you're gonna hit that four lock button and that'll allow you to crawl right out of there, as it did for me today, right? That's how it sort of works. Can I change the modes while driving and moving? Yes, absolutely. Any speed, anytime. Keep in mind, again, I'm filming a live video, not just an edited video where I can fix stuff. I'm filming a live video and I'm driving and not my car. So I just was very careful with what I did today. And how is Kia's all-wheel drive compared to Quattro? Again, a lot of them are brand names. Ours is excellent in bad weather. As your boss are watching, don't hit stuff. When the fuel range shows 470 kilometers, is that for only the gas engine or is that for both the EV and the gas? So again, this one, I don't know what the current mileage on the car is sitting at. It's definitely way worse than the car actually gets because we've been idling these vehicles. Are we back? There we go. So yeah, so sometimes when we idle these cars here, it's way back. But yeah, that 470 is the gasoline range and the 50 kilometers was the electric only range. So again, that 470 is probably a little higher, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen where the mileage is at this. So the mud mode is overpowered. Got it. No, not so much overpowered, but just allows those wheels to grip and allows you to do some fun little spinning of the vehicle. Can you do a similar demo with an Ioniq 5 or EV6? Yes. Here's the thing. I don't make the weather around here. I just react to it. So EV6 we don't have yet. Ioniq 5, we only have a rear-wheel drive one. I'd like to drive that car in the snow, but to be very blunt, there was a lot of snow here this morning, and my understanding is the plow drivers are not
nearly able to keep up right now. My personal road at home has not been plowed yet, so I don't really want to take a dealership car to a road that hasn't been plowed that is probably too deep for just a rear-wheel drive car. Many of us didn't come into work today. Those of us who did, all of us have all-wheel drive vehicles for the most part. So there were areas that I couldn't drive it. But yeah, I'd like to take the Ioniq 5 in the snow soon. We'll do that. Where are we? Drifting on private property. Yep, somebody said I was doing illegal things. Go ahead, charge me. No, don't charge me. Come on, we're teaching here. This is a teaching channel. All right, can't wait to see the new Sportage when it comes. Torn between the Mazda CX-50 and the new Sportage PHEV. Get the Sportage PHEV, even though the Sportage PHEV hasn't been announced here in Canada. Do I have a tow truck on standby? Actually, we already talked about that. I'm like, so when I get stuck on a live video, what do? We were gonna call Tim and he was gonna tow us out with our plow truck, but I wasn't so worried about that. This car's very capable. So here's the thing. Let's just talk snow tires and capability for a second here. If you don't put winter tires on this car, I don't think there's most situations you won't get stuck. Not in snow. Obviously in ice is ice, right? But you shouldn't get stuck in this without snow tires or winter tires. One thing to be aware of though is my braking distances, my ability to spin this car around and do those kind of things, that is directly related to not having those snow tires. So it's a little easier to do in this car. Hey, there's Mr. Tim. Hey, Tim, they all are complimenting you for allowing me to go do donuts in a company car. They think you're a pretty cool boss. So.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up out there, right?
He said, just in case you didn't hear him, he goes, yeah, it's kind of messed up out there, right? We both spent all morning clearing snow. He was driving the snow plow. I was doing some other stuff. So, yeah. All right, let me just see if there's any other questions here. I don't know what to do here. Okay, so you have a lot of comments in here, but no questions. So I'm just going to go back down to the bottom, see if there's any questions I missed. Off topic. Let's stay with the on topic. Quick question. I purchased a Tucson. Wondering if the train modes must... is there not a train mode just for dry pavement? No, because of drive modes. So you would have the drive modes for dry pavement, the terrain modes for the off pavement stuff. So that's why you don't need train modes for that so much if it's a paved road. Okay, mud versus sand for really deep snow. I would use the snow mode unless you get stuck because the snow mode is going to prevent you from spinning. So keep in mind what happens when your wheels spin on snow, you're creating ice underneath. So the snow mode is going to keep the wheels from spinning, which is why you want to go in snow mode. Now I kind of played with it to get it a little more stuck, dug it down deeper in the snow. And then once you are stuck in snow mode, when your flooring is trying to give you so gentle acceleration it's not letting you go, then you want to go to the mud mode. The mud mode is going to get all wheels engaged equally and it just pulls you out of the snow. It works really well. The sand mode, not designed for snow. Very fun to do sand mode and do big sweeping donuts, like a lot of space when you take the stability contraction control off. The mud mode, as you can see, we could still spin it around. So the mud mode, we could do small spins. The sand mode, kind of larger spins. But the mud mode will crawl you out of the deep snow. I wouldn't drive in the mud mode. I mean, you could, but I don't think that's the best way for traction because, like I said, it will allow you to spin, whereas the snow mode will not allow you to spin near as much. So if you want safety, security, and a boring drive to get to work safely, use the snow mode. The mud mode can allow you to spin a little bit more. All right. Somebody says I'm way more informative than anyone else. No, I'm talking way more than anyone else. I'm not sure that I'm sharing anything useful at this point, but that is kind of our thing. Okay, I think we're just going to leave it there, guys. We'll do it again in the future, but I think you get the point. Use the snow mode as much as possible. It's going to make the car plow. So when you're driving this way, if you go around a corner this way, it's going to plow forward. So the front is going to go. It's not going to swing the back end around. Use the snow mode in the snow. In deep snow, sometimes snow mode doesn't work for you. It's better for snow on the roads. Once you get in deep snow, you're going to go into the mud mode or the four-wheel drive lock if you're American. The mud mode will crawl you out. Then you can go back to that snow mode again. Sand mode, not useful for anything other than having fun and doing big, huge sweeps. So do me a favor, guys. Leave me a like. Hopefully this was helpful. Somebody says they want to see the K5 and the all-wheel drive in the snow. That'll be interesting because they don't have the terrain modes, and I'd like to do that as well, but I don't have one here today. So we'll do that if we get more snowstorms and stuff like that. So do me a favor, guys. Hit a like, hit a subscribe. This is not the only time we're going to do this. We do live videos like this every day at 2 o'clock, and we'll do more snow videos as soon as we get more snow. This has been fun. Thanks, everybody, for watching. It's been fun, and we'll talk to you again in the next one.